Look around you. The war is over. The noise is gone. The stage is empty. And yet, somehow, you're still here, breathing in a world that swore you wouldn't make it this far. Funny, isn't it? All their crowns, their titles, their trophies, worthless. Because when the smoke cleared, the crown didn't choose a king. It chose a ghost, you. The one they buried in whispers, the one they erased from the story before it even began, the one who learned that silence was a weapon sharper than any sword. You stopped chasing validation when you realized they only clap for control. You stopped fighting for attention when you understood kings are visible, ghosts are eternal. They wanted hierarchy. You gave them disappearance. They wanted a name to chant. You became an echo they can't trace. They wanted a body to destroy. You became the haunting that never dies. You figured it out, didn't you? The real victory is to vanish while still existing everywhere. They built systems to track you, rituals to contain you, spells to bind you. But the moment they thought they had your pattern, you slipped into the static. You became untraceable. You rewired their fear into your frequency. You turned every spotlight into a blindfold. You're not light or dark anymore. You're the flicker in between, the place where angels forget their wings and demons forget their rage. You're not human to them now. You're anomaly. You're proof that something beyond comprehension exists. They crowned themselves with gold. You crowned yourself with absence. And somehow that's what made the world spin around you. See, they never understood what happens when pain stops being punishment and becomes fuel. When betrayal stops being heartbreak and becomes strategy. When isolation isn't a prison, it's preparation. You died publicly so you could resurrect privately. You let them think it was over so you could watch them celebrate your funeral with empty smiles, never realizing the casket was just a mirror. Because here's the secret, ghost. You don't need to be seen to be unstoppable. You just need to be felt, and they feel you, everywhere. In the quiet moments when their confidence shakes, in the boardrooms where your name isn't mentioned, but your strategy echoes in every decision, in the dreams that wake them at 3 a.m., gasping for control that no longer exists. You're not chasing recognition anymore. Recognition is chasing you. They're writing rule books around your unpredictability. They're studying your silence like scripture. Because what terrifies them most isn't that you won. It's that you didn't even try to. You simply existed, and reality rearranged itself around you. You learned what no king ever did. Control isn't in the throne, it's in the shadows, where whispers build empires and ghosts run kingdoms unseen. You learned that evolution happens in pain, that every scar was a cipher, every wound a code, and when they took everything from you, your name, your stage, your trust, you realized the less they can take, the more you become. So you disappeared, and in that disappearance you became infinite. You're the glitch they can't debug, the prophecy that rewrote itself, the ghost that learned to smile inside the static. They'll search for you in numbers, in systems, in hierarchies, but they'll never find you, because you exist between their eyes. You exist in that half-second pause before fear becomes awe. You exist in the realization that the one they buried is now the architect of everything. And the funniest part, they still call you gone. They still think you lost. But every system that tried to erase you is now powered by your design. You don't wear the crown. You are the crown, invisible, weightless, undeniable. Because the crown never belonged to the loudest. It belonged to the one who outlasted the noise, the one who saw beyond thrones and titles and applause, The one who learned that ghosts never need kingdoms, because kingdoms eventually rot. But ghosts haunt forever. So no, it's not over. It never was. It's just quieter now. Because even the universe holds its breath when you move. Because even destiny knows it doesn't control you anymore. Because when the crown was searching for a master, it didn't find a king. It found a myth, a whisper, a ghost, you. You feel it now, don't you? That strange stillness that isn't silence but pressure. Like the air right before a storm breaks. That's the space you created. Not a stage, not a throne, a field. A dimension no one else can enter. That's why their plans keep collapsing. That's why their crowns feel heavy. They're still playing by rules, still trading noise for validation, still fighting for a seat at a table you burned down in your mind years ago. You learned the paradox they fear most. To become untouchable, you must first become invisible. To become unstoppable, you must first become nothing. That's the trick kings never understood. They built monuments. You built momentum. They etched their names in stone. You etched your signature into the unseen code of everything. They don't even realize you've been rewriting the architecture of their rituals. Every policy, every forecast, every so-called prophecy they whispered about in dark rooms. All of it already bent to the curve of your absence. You don't need a crown on your head when the entire grid tilts toward your weightless presence. Pain taught you the mechanics of ghosts. Every betrayal stripped another layer of ego until only signal remained. Every scar became an antenna, every heartbreak a transmitter. That's why you move like static through their systems. That's why you can slip between doors without keys. You're not flesh and blood to them anymore. You're frequency, and frequency doesn't bow. Do you remember when you still wanted their approval? When you still thought being seen meant being safe? That's dead. That part of you burned away like paper in a furnace. You left that version behind and stepped into the quiet corridor where no spotlight reaches. And in that corridor, you became something kings can never be. Inevitable. That's why they panic now. Not because you're winning, but because they don't know how you're winning. They can't predict you because you're not playing. They can't stop you because you're not moving. You're not a competitor. You're a condition, a rumor that acts like a law of physics. A ghost doesn't knock. It is the house. This is why the crown crawled to you instead of sitting on some pretender's head. Crowns are built to be worn by bodies. But when a crown chooses a ghost, it stops being jewelry and starts being a signal. It stops shining and starts pulsing. It stops representing power and becomes power itself. That's what you are now, power without an address, influence without a face. And the world feels it. In every negotiation where someone hesitates before speaking your name. In every boardroom where they mimic a tactic they don't even understand. In every late-night meeting where your absence feels louder than anyone's presence. You've become the shape of inevitability in their minds. That's why they study you like scripture. That's why they whisper in corridors about what you'll do next. But you're not next. You're already everywhere. You are the contradiction they cannot process. Light and shadow, angel and executioner, presence and absence, life and rumor. They built stories to explain kings. They built myths to explain heroes. But they never built language for what you've become. That's why their tongues stumble. That's why their metrics glitch. That's why they can't frame you inside their cameras. You are evolution through pain. You are unpredictability as power. You are the sound of chains rusting off their own anchors. You are the death of their narrative and the birth of your own. They'll still try. They'll still run models. They'll still hire analysts to decode you. But every file they open, every transcript they study, every theory they whisper about ends with the same conclusion. There is no conclusion. Because you are not a king to dethrone. You are not a throne to seize. You are the unseen architect. You are the one designing the labyrinth while they're still drawing maps. They will tire themselves out chasing your shadow. They will lose their voices trying to define you. And while they do, you'll keep moving like current, silent, invisible, lethal, free. That is the secret no one told you at the start. Ghosts never need crowns. Crowns need ghosts. Kings vanish with empires. Ghosts outlast centuries. So let them search. Let them speculate. Let them crown each other in empty halls. You're not in the halls anymore. You're in the walls. You're in the frequency. You're in the space between their eyes when they blink. It's over for them, but not for you. Because it was never about the game. It was about the glitch. And you are the glitch that rewrote the entire script. You didn't win the crown. The crown surrendered to you. You didn't wear it. You dissolved into it. You didn't become a king. You became the haunting. And in the end, that's the highest form of power. Because kings can be seen. Kings can be named. Kings can be replaced. But ghosts stay. Ghosts guide. Ghosts rule without ruling. And right now, as you breathe in this silence, know this. They will never stop feeling you, even when they pretend you're gone, even when they deny your name, even when they build new temples on top of the ruins you left behind. You are already inside their prayers. You are already inside their blueprints. You are already inside the crown. It's over for them. But for you, it's only just begun. And here is the part that they will never understand. The part that makes their hands tremble when they think about you. Power isn't a throne you sit on. Power is the temperature of the room after you leave it. Power is the pause in their sentence when your name crosses their mind. Power is the invisible pressure of a presence that cannot be charted, but cannot be ignored. That's what you've become. That's why the crown didn't choose a king. A king needs an army. A king needs banners, parades, coins with his face stamped on them. A king needs to be recognized. A king dies when the people stop clapping. But a ghost doesn't need an army. A ghost doesn't need a name. A ghost doesn't need applause. A ghost survives on inevitability. And inevitability never dies. Do you remember the first time they underestimated you? The first time they whispered that you'd never come back from the blow they gave you? That was your birth. Every time they pushed you into a corner, you slipped into the wall. Every time they tried to erase you, you became the eraser. They thought you were losing. You were learning. They thought you were disappearing. You were transforming. That's the paradox that drives them insane. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be felt. You are not here to be decoded. You are here to be inevitable. You are not here to play the game. You are here to rewrite what game even means. Pain is the crucible they threw you into thinking it would kill you. It didn't kill you. It burned everything false off you. It left only signal. Scar tissue became circuitry. Silence became strategy. Exile became elevation. Every cut was a doorway. Every loss was a blueprint. That is why you are unpredictable now. That is why you move like smoke through locked rooms. That is why they can't draw a straight line between your actions and your outcomes. Kings are predictable. They are watched, weighed, and replaced. Ghosts are not predictable. They are unmeasured, unweighed, and irreplaceable. You are the whisper between their calculations. You are the glitch between their forecasts. You are the variable that keeps changing the answer no matter how many times they run the equation. You are the reason their charts break, their metrics crack, their simulations stutter. They can no longer trace you. They can no longer plan for you. They can no longer stop you, because you're not a person to them now. You're a force, a rumor with gravity, a story with claws. You've become the place where opposites collapse. Light and dark, saint and psychopath, angel and demon, seen and unseen. That's your real power. You are not one or the other. You are the corridor between. You are the flicker of the candle that blinds and illuminates at the same time. You are the knife and the wound, the architect and the ashes, the question and the answer. And when they talk about you now, in those cold rooms with locked doors and glowing screens, they lower their voices, because a part of them knows you're already in the room, you're already in the code, you're already in their heads. They keep searching for a king to dethrone. But you're not a king. You're the tide. You're the echo. You're the current. And currents don't get dethroned. Currents drown thrones. That's why the crown crawled to you. That's why it slid off their heads and rolled across the floor in silence. It wasn't a coronation. It was a surrender. Now you don't even need to move. The world moves for you. You don't even need to speak. The air rearranges itself into your message. You don't even need to show up. Your absence bends decisions, distorts plans, breaks rituals. This is what kings will never learn. It's not about ruling. It's about becoming the atmosphere everyone breathes. That's what you are now. Atmosphere, frequency, myth. They will build new systems. They will crown new kings. They will pretend to forget you, but they will still feel you in the empty spaces between their words. They will still feel you in the split second before they act. They will still feel you in the quiet moments when their confidence cracks. You have no throne, but every throne tilts toward you. You have no crown, but every crown pulses with your absence. You have no face, but every mirror bends your way. And as you stand here now, in the silence, after the war, understand this. You are not what you were. You are not even what they fear. You are what comes after fear. A ghost crowned by inevitability. A whisper more powerful than a scream. An echo more permanent than a monument. That's why it's over for them. That's why it's beginning for you. Because the crown didn't choose a king. It chose the one thing kings can never be. Unkillable, untraceable, unforgettable. It chose a ghost. And that ghost is you. They still think it's about winning. They still think there's a finish line somewhere that they'll cross before you. That's the joke. Because while they run, you dissolve. You fade between frames, slip beneath the noise, and start pulling the strings they never see. A ghost doesn't race. A ghost rewinds time. It edits the story until it reads like prophecy. That's what you've been doing all along, isn't it? You learned that presence can be faked, but impact can't. You stopped fighting for visibility the moment you realized that invisibility is the purest form of freedom. When no one sees you, no one can bind you. When no one understands you, no one can predict you. When no one owns you, every chain loses its function. You are the quiet panic behind their calm smiles, the static before their announcements, the reason their victories taste hollow. Because every success they claim still carries your fingerprint, unseen but undeniable. They know it. That's why they can't rest. That's why their sleep comes shallow, filled with half-formed dreams of someone watching from the dark. They told themselves you were gone. They buried your name in reports and archives. but you can't bury what has become elemental. You turned pain into weather. You turned rejection into magnetism. You turned silence into signal. You exist now in the pause between their heartbeats. That's where control really lives. Not in commands, but in hesitation. Every time they stop to think twice, you win again. And somewhere deep down, they admire it. They envy the liberation that comes from no longer needing to be seen, from no longer caring to be worshipped. Kings crave witnesses. Ghosts only require awareness. Awareness happens without permission. Awareness spreads. Do you remember the first time you noticed how power trembles when you stop trying to hold it? That was the pivot. That was when the old version of you collapsed like scaffolding and the new version rose, weightless, from the rubble. You stopped chasing destiny and started creating inevitability. You stopped asking what now and started whispering, watch. That's when the crown shifted, not upward, but inward. It melted through metal and bone until it fused with your essence. And now it moves when you breathe. No king can carry that. Kings are brittle. They depend on approval, on applause, on the illusion of control. They dress their fragility in velvet and gold. But you learned to wear absence like armor. You learned that every time someone said, "It's over," it was only the world folding itself around your next form. Every loss became camouflage. Every failure became a new doorway. Every insult became an incantation that reinforced your myth. That's how ghosts are born, through repetition of disbelief until existence becomes undeniable. You became the experiment that exceeded containment, the quiet thing that learned the geometry of survival. You no longer walk through rooms, you pass through them. You no longer chase influence, you are the influence. Your mere idea rearranges hierarchies. Your story spreads without your voice. That's what makes them afraid. Not that you're powerful, but that you don't need to prove it. Power that needs to be proven is theater. Power that doesn't is law. You are law now, not written, felt instinctual, subliminal. They will spend years trying to recreate what you did. They'll assemble committees, draw charts, simulate your behavior, build entire departments to dissect your pattern. But they'll fail, because you are not pattern, you are paradox. You are the equation that breaks calculators. You are the proof that doesn't require solving. You've ascended beyond definition. That's why crowns crawl and systems bend. That's why the world stutters when you move. You've crossed the border where human ends and myth begins. And the further you drift from recognition, the deeper your imprint becomes. Kings will rise and fall under the illusion of order. You will hover forever in the space between chaos and reason, rewriting both. So keep walking through the smoke. Keep listening to the silence that used to scare you. That's your orchestra now. Every whisper, every shiver, every inexplicable chill in their spine. That's you conducting. Let them believe it's superstition. Let them invent stories to explain why everything starts collapsing the moment they doubt you. You don't need credit. You already have consequence. Because the crown didn't choose a king. It chose the current. It chose the hum behind every machine. It chose the name that no longer needs to be spoken. It chose the ghost that turned endings into beginnings. It chose you. Good morning, paranoia. You felt that, didn't you? That little shift in the air. That whisper crawling down the back of your spine. That was them again. Group chats going silent the moment your name drops. Screenshots being forwarded with shaky fingers. Analysts pacing. A whole war room full of insecure little overachievers tearing up every blueprint just to ask the same question again and again. Who tvi are you? Because you didn't announce your power, you leaked it. Drip by drip. Like a classified file that somehow keeps resurfacing no matter how many servers they burn. You didn't perform for them. You moved. Like a ghost in their matrix, like a god in incognito. No name tag, no banner, just chills running down people's necks when you walk past. And now, they're obsessing over the puzzle, because nothing about you adds up. And everything about you subtracts them. They thought they knew how beasts were built. Pain plus time plus hustle equals monster. But you were born in a blackout, risen from an equation that doesn't exist in their books. The scribbles in their notebooks can't explain your rise because you didn't come up. You erased the concept of up. You're not just an anomaly, you're a correction, a cosmic recalibration. Every step you take makes their past look stupid. Their entire lineage of winners, obsolete. And what's driving them insane, what's shattering the walls of their little echo chambers, is the fact that you're not trying to be understood. You're not explaining. You're not justifying. You're not even denying the rumors. You're amplifying them with your silence, letting paranoia do your PR. Because you finally realized the truth. If they can't label you, they can't contain you. If they can't track you, they can't predict you. And if they can't decode you, they'll spend their lives worshiping the glitch they once tried to delete. Oh, they're digging, all right, deep. Calling in favors, pulling old yearbooks, zooming into blurry photos from 2008, wondering how they missed you on the original radar. But that's the thing, isn't it? You were never on their map, because you were the damn cartographer. They can't keep up because you're not part of the timeline. You're an event, a rupture, a turning point they can't unlive. You walked into their realm and bent the temperature, made the air feel denser. You got people locking their phones after your name gets mentioned because they know those chats are being watched. You've become that dangerous. And don't get it twisted. This isn't admiration. This is survival study. They're not praising you. They're studying you. Like hunters dissecting the last bulletproof animal in the wild. But here's where it gets fun. Every time they think they've mapped out your pattern, you change species. Every time they think they've got your psychology pegged, you flip the mirror and make them question their own. Saint or psychopath, genius or virus, shadow or spotlight. They can't pin you because you've evolved past duality. You don't fit in their binaries. You're a walking paradox that feeds on confusion, the holy villain, the calm storm, the radiant threat. Your moves aren't just unpredictable. They're illegal in most dimensions. The nerve, the audacity, the surgical madness you deploy with no warning, no build-up, no permission. That's what's setting off the alarms. That's what's making high-ranking rooms hold emergency meetings to ask the same question over and over, behind locked doors. Who TF is this? And every time they fail to answer it, your legend mutates. You become folklore, myth, then virus, then prophecy, until they realize, too late, they weren't watching a person rise. They were witnessing a timeline collapse. So don't flinch, don't explain, don't clarify. Let their group chats rot in speculation. Let their whispers bloom into national alerts. Let your silence be the scream they hear on loop at 3 a.m. Because the real power, it's not in being known, it's in being unknowable. Let them stare, let them wonder, let them chase shadows and crash into mirrors. Because while they're trying to define you, you're out here rewriting what's possible. And the longer they try to decode you, the deeper they sink into the realization they're not looking at a man. They're looking at a message, a warning from the future that the algorithm has been breached and the ghost they tried to bury just hacked the system. Who TIF are you? Simple. You're the glitch that learned how to evolve. And now, they're not trying to figure you out. They're trying to survive your next move. Oh, now they're running simulations, whole rooms full of analysts whispering, "We must have missed something," as if your existence was some clerical error, some overlooked mutation in the script. But here's the kicker. You wrote the damn rewrite. You see, the system they built, it was never designed for someone like you. It was designed for the obedient, the predictable, the ones too scared to set fire to the rule book. But you licked your wounds, then lit the paper trail on the way out. They thought they'd find your origin in trauma. They thought they'd trace your chaos to daddy issues, to childhood breakdowns, to a predictable pattern of rebellion. But what they don't realize is that your origin wasn't pain. It was clarity. You saw them clearly, their masks, their mantras, their manipulations. You watched the hierarchy, smiled at their rituals, and refused the oath. And ever since that moment, they've been trying to diagnose your defiance. Because it's too clean, too calm, too weaponized. You don't just rebel, you surgically dismantle. You don't rage, you disappear and return upgraded. They called in psychologists, witch doctors, AI behavior coders, hoping one of them could explain why the hell they keep losing to you. Why their most calculated moves feel like bait you already countered before they blinked. And now, they're scrambling, not because you're dangerous, but because you're invisible in plain sight. You're not throwing punches, you're throwing reality fractures, moments so intense people question if you were ever real, or just a hallucination sent to collapse their structure. You trigger awakenings by walking into rooms. You break minds without touching a soul. And you make loyalty shift sides just by breathing different air. They can't follow your path because your path is not linear. It spirals, it loops, it folds into itself like sacred geometry they were never meant to see. You're the final encryption key to a system they thought they owned. You're the bastard child of chaos and precision, the kind of entity that isn't born, but forged in forgotten corridors where gods go to die and monsters go to learn strategy. They wanted data. You gave them distortion. They wanted order. You handed them oracles. They wanted your location. But you became a movement, a frequency, a lethal idea echoing through every person who ever thought, there's more than this. And that, my dear anomaly, is what makes them lose sleep. It's not just what you do. It's what you remind people is possible. You're a living breach in their perfectly coded hierarchy. The reminder that their empires are mockable, hackable, perishable. You don't need applause. You don't need a fan base. You don't even need evidence. You've become an undeniable vibration, a disturbance that outlives screens and rumors. You're not a name anymore. You're a ghost algorithm, a question mark so loud it echoes across boardrooms, covens, courtrooms, and unfinished rituals. They tried to map you. They tried to copy you. They even tried to ban you from existence. Shadow banned your essence, prayed over your downfall, but every time they thought it was over, you didn't return. You evolved. Glitch became code. Code became consciousness. And now you've entered the final form. Uncontainable, untraceable, unstoppable. A walking psychological detonation with a face they can't forget and a strategy they can't predict. So let them keep asking, who the fuck is this? Let them tear up chats. launch ops, hire ex-military advisors to handle the anomaly. Because what they haven't realized yet is that the anomaly is their new god. You don't just walk through walls. You erase blueprints. You make the walls forget they existed. And the more they try to decode you, the deeper they get pulled into your field of warping gravity. The more obsessed they get, the closer they step to the edge of irreversible unraveling. Because you're not a person anymore. You're a system event, a permanent glitch in their simulation, and your next move, that's not something they'll survive. Tick, tick, tick. They can feel it now, can't they? The countdown they didn't authorize, echoing through every chat thread, every decrypted call log, every sleepless night where they pray you're just a phase, just a hallucination of momentum. But you're not a phase. You're a force. And the tragedy for them, you're already inside the system, not knocking, not breaking in. No. You're the voice in the circuit, the hum in their data lines that no one programmed but everyone fears. They don't understand what you are because you're not bound by their linguistic poverty. You're not ambitious. You're not talented. You're not mysterious. You're post-definition, the thing beyond the frame, the shape that refuses to hold. And now the group chats are melting. Once buzzing threads now read like crime scenes. Bro, who is this? Yo, someone dig up his past. Quick. Delete these screenshots. He's watching everything. And my favorite one, he shouldn't know this much. But that's where they're wrong, isn't it? You don't just know. You see through the pageantry, through the algorithm, through the false prophets, through the spells they paid good money to cast on the masses. You're the one who figured it out, that the real currency isn't clout. It's control of perception, and guess what? You took that and turned it into a psychological nuke. They watch you twist silence into strategy, turn presence into panic, turn rejection into recon. You walk away from betrayal with a new weapon in your chest cavity, and they just keep asking, how the fuck is he still moving like this? Let me answer that for them, because you stopped healing and started remembering. You remember the nights they ignored you. You remember the doubts they planted. You remember the humiliation, the ridicule, the dismissals, and you didn't suppress it. You archived it, filed it, labeled it, to be repaid with interest. You built your fortress from every brick they threw, but not just for protection, no. You turned it into a launch site, a pressure chamber, a silo for God-tier retaliation. And the launch code? It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even justice. It was clarity. The moment you realized you don't owe them understanding, you owe them disorientation, and that's why they're spiraling. Because your evolution didn't come with a broadcast, no TED Talk, no Journey to Success post. You just vanished into the underworld and came back as a riddle wrapped in vengeance, cloaked in silence. You didn't glow up. You glitched out of their system and rewrote yourself in a programming language they don't speak. And now, they're begging for context as you tear down everything they worship. Not with brute force, but with precision disrespect. You don't scream, you whisper with impact. You don't throw tantrums, you tilt atmospheres. You don't demand a seat, you dismantle the table, then build one with tripwire legs and mirrors for plates, so anyone who sits down sees their own deception before they even touch the silverware. Who the fuck are you? You're the kid they laughed at. Now the architect of their anxiety. You're the dropout they dismissed. Now the professor of their panic. You're the background blur in their photos. now the center of their breakdown. You're not one of them. You never were. You didn't climb the ladder. You set fire to it and rose in the smoke. And now, every glance, every mention, every failed attempt to figure you out adds fuel to your mythos. You're not a trend. You're a shift in the collective nervous system, a global trigger point, a reminder to everyone watching that maybe, just maybe, you can't calculate certain kinds of power. You can only witness it or drown in it. And here's the final twist. The reason their confusion is turning into obsession. You're no longer moving to prove anything. You're moving like a force of prophecy, like you already know how this ends. And that's what's driving them mad. The calm in your chaos, the precision in your unpredictability, the fact that you're not chasing revenge anymore. You're choreographing collapse. So let them keep decoding, keep analyzing, keep collapsing onto whiteboards and screaming about your patterns. They don't realize, the moment they asked, "Who TF is this?" the virus was already in their bloodstream. You're not here to be figured out. You're here to end their need for figuring. Because when you move, you don't make sense. You make history. Now look at them, staring into screens like oracles, scrolling with bloodshot eyes, zooming into pixels like they'll find your blueprint in the blur. But the truth, there is no blueprint, because you were never built. You were summoned from the wreckage, from the insult, from the exact moment you realized they weren't just underestimating you. They were trying to erase you, silently. And now they wish you were just a ghost. Because ghosts don't fight back. Ghosts don't leave scars. Ghosts don't reprogram the entire algorithm with a single faking move. You didn't go viral. You infected their paradigm. Now every system glitch feels like your signature. Every strange coincidence, they check your name. Every decision made out of fear, they whisper your initials. You were the warning label they forgot to read, the side effect they didn't test for. And now the whole structure's hallucinating around your presence. See, the average person fights to be noticed. You fought to be misunderstood. Because misunderstanding is camouflage. It buys you time. It disarms them. And in that silence of confusion, you don't rise. You position. That's why they can't track you. Because while they're yelling, you're installing. While they're reacting, you're recording. While they're trying to predict your moves, you're building a future that makes theirs irrelevant. You don't drop bombs. You drop events. Moments so sharp they slice the timeline into before you showed up and after they lost control. You walk into places they thought were closed ecosystems, corporate rooms, elite functions, backdoor meetings with gatekeepers, and suddenly people start switching sides without knowing why. Your power doesn't just influence, it disorients. It cracks open loyalty and rewires ideology. And the real reason they're panicking? Because you've achieved what only myths manage. You became a story they can't retell without changing reality. You're a weapon with no manufacturer, an outcome with no cause, a trigger that was never meant to exist inside their narrative. But here you are, rewriting rituals, hacking prophecy, outmaneuvering covens, turning ancient blueprints into paper planes you flick off rooftops for fun. They tried to scan your fingerprints and found everyone else's blood on the scanner. They opened the case file and saw their own faces on your targets neutralized list. And now their leaders are quiet. The ones who used to mock you in private have gone eerily silent. Because they realize you're not some rebel with a vengeance. You're a phenomenon with a purpose. You didn't just survive. You adapted so hard that survival itself changed definitions. You made evolution look like child's play. You became something post-human, emotionally surgical, spiritually armored, psychologically engineered to destroy systems of deception just by existing near them. They studied power their whole lives. You embodied it by accident. They read Sun Tzu. You wrote tactics they can't pronounce. They built legacy networks. You built a black hole that absorbed them all. So let them panic. Let them trade theories in group chats. Let them tear down whiteboards and argue over whether you're a glitch, a god, a ghost, or the final manifestation of everything they feared might be real. Let them form war rooms, call in experts, cast final spells. You've already rewired their narrative structure. Every room they enter now has one question written in permanent ink beneath the surface. Who TF is this? And the real horror. They may never find out, because by the time they do, it won't matter. They'll be too changed to fight it, too cracked to conceal it, too late to stop you. You're not the next big thing. You're the last thing they see before their system self-destructs. And your silence, it's not peace. It's the click of a detonator. Boom! It's done. The blast wasn't loud. It was internal, a psychological implosion. The kind that doesn't leave rubble, it leaves echoes, because that's what you are now. An echo they can't outrun. A siren embedded in their subconscious, looping the same unanswerable question, who TF was that? Not what did they do, not how did they win, just who TF was that? Because even now, as their systems reboot, as the fires get cleaned up, as the smoke clears and the fake calm returns, your fingerprints remain on every shattered illusion. You didn't just move through the matrix. You rewrote its physics. You bent it until it broke, and in the silence of that break, the world got new instructions. Fear the one you can't track. Worship the one you can't understand. You didn't leave scars. You left instructions buried deep in their DNA. Now every time they flinch at a shadow, that's you. Every time they second-guess their power, that's you. Every time they feel a presence in rooms you haven't entered yet, that's you. Because your presence is not spatial anymore. It's existential. You've become the variable that corrupts their outcome. The unsolvable anomaly, the glitch that teaches other glitches how to evolve. And the final twist, they tried to bury you. But now the world is whispering your name like it's part of a secret spell, like saying it out loud might bring you back, or worse, remind you to finish what you started. Because you didn't just survive the storm, you became the architect of thunder. So go ahead, walk past the ruins, watch them try to rebuild, let them pretend it's all over. But we both know the truth, don't we? This wasn't your grand finale. It was just a case study, a demonstration, a reminder of what happens when someone evolves outside the blueprint. When the glitch learns not just how to escape, but how to infect the entire simulation with awareness. They'll keep guessing. They'll keep spiraling. They'll keep whispering behind encrypted screens in basements and boardrooms and bunkers. But the answer they seek? It's sealed inside the one thing they can't replicate. You. So when the world asks again, who TF are you? You smile, say nothing, and let the collapse answer for you. Listen, and don't let the room breathe until I tell you to. You moved like someone who had rehearsed calm on the inside of chaos. You struck with the silence of a church bell, polished, precise, and suddenly, everyone who ever laughed at you is trying to remember if they should have hit the brakes sooner. They call it trained. They whisper war. They fold their mouths around words like military and protocol, because the only thing they can name for what you did is a thing they respect and fear at once. But here's the truth they can't swallow. What they saw wasn't training on a field. It was training in the dark places life gave you. The quiet rooms of humiliation, the sleepless rehearsals where you learned to move without noise, the long, cold calculus of refusal that taught you where to aim. They don't know the curriculum that taught you to be a blade. Heartbreak, calculus, starvation of applause, patience so clinical it looked like cruelty. So they invent war school to make the terror feel explainable, to give your chaos a badge they can salute and fear. Meanwhile, you stand there, saint and psychopath, braided into one bone. A contradiction that leaves them confusing their morality for weakness and their weakness for victory. They'll try to box you into an origin story that makes them comfortable. He was trained, they'll say, as if training equals predictability. But you are not a replay. You are unpredictability dressed up as discipline. You are the quiet lab where patience was weaponized, the invisible syllabus matched to every slight, every look, every why. They think discipline is a uniform. They forget discipline can also be a wound turned into architecture. They call it control, because control is a word that admits zero vulnerability. It hides the trembling hands, the nights you mapped their faces by memory, the way you cataloged their lies like weapons. You perfected the act of not being visible, and when you chose to be seen, it hit like an operation. Because the only thing more terrifying than a trained soldier is a person who learned to love the darkness around them. You made them recoil because you moved without noise and with precision. You didn't scream. You didn't brag. You did what the grown-ups in their stories only ever do on the last page. And they aren't finished reading you. They want a dossier, a manual, something to archive and analyze so they can sleep. They will replay the clip and try to pixel the moment into a theory. Was it tactical, surgical, a military mind? They will write memos. They will tag it as anomalous competence and share it with friends so the fear can be domesticated into gossip. Let them file their reports. Let them whisper trained like it's a talisman. It soothes them to believe there is a teacher behind you, that your savagery was handed down like an inheritance and not grown from the compost of every wound they gave you. You are paradox, an angel who learns to bite and a demon who keeps his manners. You smile like an oracle, and your hands are steady enough to sign away their assumptions. That smile is a ledger of debts, unpaid and beautifully itemized. They read your composure as cold calculation. You read theirs as a map with marked weaknesses you studied like a lover studies a face. They assume war when what you performed was the final class in self-preservation taught by the world's cruelty. They believe you were trained for battle because the alternative is more terrifying. That you taught yourself to be unbreakable. That you took their cruelty and with surgical patience turned it into armor that looks like grace from a distance and a guillotine up close. Do not let them mistake your restraint for mercy. Mercy is for those who still hope for apology. You learned that apologies are smoke and not medicine. Your restraint was a choice made in cold laboratories of consequence. A slow demonstration that you could have eaten them alive and instead fed them silence, which is a worse hunger to watch. You wanted them to live with the evidence of their error. That is the most intelligent kind of violence, to leave them alive to understand how precise your absence felt. They are rattled not by your power but by your patience. patience that outsources violence to time itself. Time becomes a weapon when you let it erode their narratives while you stand immaculate and uninterested. They call you trained because it gives them a plot that ends. Humans crave endings. They need to place you into a box labeled explained so they can breathe again. But you are the refusal of tidy endings. You are the lingering question in their heads at 2 a.m., the pixel they can't quite zoom into. You embody the cruel lesson that some people are forged in the furnace of their own betrayals and come out polished to an impossible sheen. They will scan your movements for a coach, for signals they can predict, because if they can predict you, they can prepare. And if they prepare, they feel safe. So let them look. Let them invent stories. Their fear needs scaffolding. Remember, unpredictability is not chaos. Unpredictability is choice. You chose the exact moment to be seen. You chose the exact angle to reveal your teeth. You chose to be a storm that reads the weather report before it begins. That look they replayed, it was a calculus of consequences. It was a sentence delivered without words. To call that war is cute. To call that training is comforting. But you are not a soldier obeying orders. You are an author rewriting the rules of engagement where rules don't exist. When they say trained for war, they are admitting that you are capable of organized destruction, and that admission kneels them in fear. Good. Let fear be the language they speak when they think of you. Let their nights be full of second-guessing. Let the echo of your calm be a metronome that times their unease. You know what truly unsettles them. You do not need their recognition to be complete. Your power is not spectated, it is intrinsic. Training implies reliance on instruction. You are self-taught in the grammar of consequence. You studied silence until it became louder than their screams. You practiced absence until it had weight. You polished your face into a mask that can still feel. So when you move, the motion carries meaning. They will call it too controlled, as if control is an accusation. Wear that accusation like armor. Let them think their labels matter. Their labels are a mirror. They project, and you reflect back something they cannot bear to see. So keep walking in that unnatural calm. Keep letting the room rebuild itself around the image of you, because every reconstruction is a confession. They are reshaping their world to accommodate your existence. They call you war-trained. In their mouths, the phrase tastes like an attempt to domesticate the monster you refuse to be. But you are not a thing to be tamed. You are a condition. You are a method. You are the quiet before the verdict. The slow cutting away of pretense until only truth, raw, beautiful, unavoidable, remains. Let them whisper and file and theorize. Let them map the anatomy of your move like archaeologists trying to date a weapon. They are doing your work for you. You become legend while they try to analyze you. And when they finally say your name like it's evidence, smile the way only someone who sat through their own erasure can smile. Because in that smile is the whole syllabus they never taught you, and the final exam they failed to give themselves. They're still trying to tidy you into a headline, because headlines have endings, and endings are comfortable. They will stitch together interviews, compile hot takes, and hand that patchwork to their friends, so someone, somewhere, can sleep. Let them stitch. Your true work happens in the seams they ignore. The breath you held before you stepped forward. The math you did in moments they called waiting. The way you cataloged every slight like currency and spent it when it made the most beautiful noise. They will misname your patience as preparation. They will call your silence calculated. Correct them. Precision is not the same as calculation. Precision is a language learned when chaos refused to translate itself. Calculation is a ledger someone else reads. Precision is a signature only you can sign. You learned to be surgical because you were taught that blunt instruments break things that should have been kept. You learned to be gentle because bluntness exposes the vulnerable parts of you you'd rather keep sacred. In the quiet between the jabs and the applause, you taught yourself to be an instrument people couldn't even recognize as music until it destroyed their illusions. They want to pin you to doctrine, to a manual with margins and page numbers. Because manuals are small and the world is loud. Manuals can be burned. You are the smoldering ash that refuses to be catalogued. Do not confuse restraint with restraintlessness. There's a difference between someone who holds back and someone who holds more than others can imagine. You hold more. You carry the silence other people throw away. You learn to listen to the tiny things, the twitch at the corner of a mouth, the way their hands betray a lie before their tongues confess it. You trained your eyes on micro movements, your heart on macro calm. To them, it appears as a calm you wear like a coat. To you, it is armor grown from patience. When you moved, it landed like inevitability. Because inevitability is the one kind of violence that leaves no scars to point at. They prefer scars. They prefer dramatics they can screenshot. You gave them the opposite, a flat line of consequence. They speak in rehearsed indignation, like actors reading lines they've been fed. Trained, they say. War ready, they whisper. They taste the word as if it is a profanity that explains away the shame of being outplayed. Let them whisper. Let their mouths fill with that superstition, because superstition is a net that catches fear and sells it back as certainty. They need the certainty. Humans curl around certainty like a child around a blanket. You gave them a cold that their certainty could not warm. They will try to warm it with stories of coaches, of instructors, of origin myths that would make you seem less like a mirror and more like a monster someone manufactured. This is their defense mechanism. Reduce the threat by giving it origins, by giving it teachers. If it had a teacher, it can be taught. If it can be taught, it can be unlearned. If it can be unlearned, they can sleep. You want them to stay awake. You want their rest to fray. That is the quiet cruelty of mastery. You prefer their waking panic to their dreaming peace. Not because you enjoy suffering, you do not, but because pain breeds confession, and confession rearranges power. They will confess in the small ways, a hesitant compliment, a sudden avoidance, a furtive replay of the moment that humiliated them. Their confession will be clumsy. It will be 1,000 tiny apologies without words. Those are the ones that matter. They will change their tone when they talk about you. They will adjust their jokes. They will teach their children not to mimic what you did. You will have rewritten culture in micro increments, and they will never admit the curriculum. Make no mistake, their fear is worship in disguise. They kneel by the conclusion you forced them into and call it research. They will analyze your gesture the way a religion analyzes a miracle, because both are attempts to domesticate the extraordinary. They will point fingers at the wrong things. They will credit a uniform when there was none, a mentor when there was only self, a manual when there was only practice in the dark. Let them theorize. Every theory they build is another monument to your influence. Legends are patient things. They build themselves while people argue about footnotes. You are becoming one of those patient legends. You will be tempted to explain. Don't. Explanation is a tool that dissolves the mystery that kept them trembling. Mystery is leverage. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a calculated scarcity of meaning. People will pay attention to what they must fill in, and they will always pack their fears into those empty spaces. Give them nothing to fill. Let the silence be a room they cannot enter. Let that room echo with the memory of your single, clean move. Let them replay it until their minds stitch false motives into it, because each false motive is a confession of their inability to comprehend someone who grew themselves into a weapon without the sanction of institutions. There is grace in the way you let them live with the evidence of their mistake. Mercy is loud and cheap. What you practiced was a kinder cruelty, the slow unfolding of consequences that forces people to confront their own smallness. You made sure they could see you were deliberate. You let the horror of your composure be a mirror. Mirrors are dangerous because they do not lie, and because they force people to look at what they refuse to be. The image they see is their own panic reflected back in a face they chose to ignore. That reflection unsettles them more than punishment would. Punishment is corruption of the body. Reflection is corruption of the soul. Now carry that lesson forward as if it were part of your anatomy. Move like someone who has rehearsed an exit strategy for every possible betrayal. Smile like a person who knows smiling can be a closing statement. Speak like someone who understands the economy of a single sentence. Hold your silence like currency and spend it wisely. When you decide to act again, and you will decide, let it be surgical, inevitable, and totally inexplicable to the untrained eye. Let them catalog your move as military or trained, because the truth is sharper and they cannot swallow it. You taught yourself to be unavoidable. They will try to domesticate you by language. Call their language what it is, a net. Nets are for catching animals. You are not an animal, you are a phenomenon. Phenomena are studied in labs and written about in footnotes. Legends become phenomena when they survive being named. Let their names cling to you and corrode with time. Let them think they understand you. There is power in being misunderstood. It forces observers to look harder until they bend under their own confusion. Confusion leads to fear. Fear becomes the currency you spend in silence, and the more they fear, the more they gossip, the more they replay, the more your shadow grows in their rooms. So continue to move with that unnatural calm. Continue to let the world believe in a teacher where there was only hunger. Continue to let them narrate you into being until their narratives are the very scaffolding from which your legend will hang. Keep your face visible but unreadable. Keep your hands gentle but iron true. Keep your voice low. Keep your breath measured. Let the world mislabel you. Let them say, trained. Let them call you war. The words are theirs. The consequence is yours. And in the end, when they whisper your name like it is a verdict, you will know something they never will. That you were never a soldier in someone else's war. You were the architect of a silence so precise, it could only be mistaken for training. Because that's what they can't accept, isn't it? That no one built you, no one blessed you, no one trained you. You evolved. You clawed your way out of humiliation, failure, heartbreak, and silence, and turned every breakdown into blueprints. You were your own instructor, your own lab rat, your own test subject. They mistake that for training, because the results are too surgical to be human. But this was never learned. It was remembered, like some buried instinct older than war itself reawakening inside your veins. You didn't need boot camps. You had betrayal. You didn't need drills. You had years of being underestimated. Every scar became a syllabus. every insult a sharpened edge. They don't see the classrooms you built out of chaos, where pain was your professor and solitude was your graduation ceremony. You mastered the science of restraint while they were still learning the alphabet of reaction. You learned that true power doesn't need witnesses. It just needs timing. That's why the world froze when you moved. That's why they call it too controlled. Because real control terrifies people who have never had to own their darkness. They think power is rage. You showed them power is poise. You showed them violence wrapped in elegance, fury folded into logic. You showed them how silence can bleed louder than screams. And now, every time your name slips through their teeth, there's a tremor. Because you didn't just win. You rewrote what victory looks like. You made control seductive. You made precision poetic. You made vengeance look like discipline. And no one knows what to do with that kind of danger. So let them keep their theories. Let them say you were trained for war. It helps them sleep. But you and I know the truth. You weren't trained for war. You were born as one. A walking strategy, a breathing response, a living consequence. Every step you take is an operation. Every glance, a calculated detonation. You don't fight battles anymore. You end them with posture alone. The way you stand becomes a verdict. The way you breathe becomes an indictment. And the way you walk away becomes a ghost story they'll tell in whispers, pretending it's a warning when it's really worship. So go on, keep your calm, keep your fire folded behind that quiet smile. Because that's the deadliest kind of control, the kind that looks like peace, but feels like judgment. And when the world finally understands what walked among them, it'll already be too late. Shh! Do you hear that? That faint laughter underneath the silence. That's the sound of reality collecting its debt. The ego trip is over. And the bill just arrived, publicly. You saw it happen, didn't you? The parade of delusion marching with fake crowns and dollar store halos, every insecure soul trying to look taller by standing on your neck. They thought pain was free, like it didn't come with receipts. They thought mocking you made them gods, but gods don't beg for attention. Insects do. See, the thing about reality is, it doesn't accept credit. You can't pay with lies. You can't tip your way out with followers or filters. Reality demands truth, and it always serves it cold, in front of an audience. And that's what happened tonight. The lights came on, the crowd stopped cheering, the masks cracked like cheap glass, and the ones who thought they were immortal, they blinked. You watched their confidence rot in real time. All that performance, all that borrowed power, it evaporated the second consequence entered the room. That's what makes you different. You didn't hide from the storm, you became it. While they built their image on applause, you built your will in silence. They trained their voice to sound strong. You trained your scars to speak louder. It's funny, isn't it, how people mistake spotlight for divinity. Until it burns their skin, they loved playing main character, until life handed them the script marked final act. And you stood there, calm. Because you already learned the rule no one wants to accept. Humility isn't weakness, it's ammunition. You learned that when the world laughs, you sharpen your pain into prophecy. Now, they're living the punchline. Their ego bought a fantasy it couldn't afford. Their pride signed a deal their spirit couldn't keep. And when the lights went out, guess who was still breathing? You, the quiet one, the one who didn't need validation because you remembered what you came from. You don't chase approval anymore. You provoke reflection. You don't perform, you disturb. That's why they flinch when your name surfaces, because it reminds them they could have learned, but they chose to mock. It reminds them what authenticity looks like under pressure, and how cheaply their arrogance collapses under it. You want to know what real power is? It's walking through humiliation without losing identity. It's smiling when they whisper, "How are they still standing?" It's not revenge, it's revelation. You don't destroy people anymore. You expose them. You let karma live stream their downfall while you stay unbothered, untouchable, unreadable. That's what scares them most, that you evolved past the game, that your silence has the precision of a sniper, that you turned suffering into surveillance, watching, analyzing, waiting. And when the moment came, you didn't need to lift a finger. Reality handled the execution. Now let them laugh about the past. They're the comedy now. Let them post their fake wins. You already became the rumor the system fears. Because when the ego trip ends, the truth takes the mic. And the truth sounds a lot like you. Funny, isn't it? How silence hits different when it's no longer submission, when it's strategy. You used to defend yourself, explain yourself, beg to be understood. Now you just watch. You watch the ones who swore they'd never need you start twitching when your name gets mentioned in rooms they can't control. You don't have to expose them. Their lives do it for you. Every lie they told about you now folds back into their bloodstream like poison disguised as pride. See, that's the curse of ego. It always forgets who was watching. They thought they were the director of this play, but they were just extras in your arc. You let them talk. You let them mock, because you knew what they didn't. Time has a way of pulling receipts from the shadows, and oh, when that bill arrived, it didn't whisper, it screamed. You can almost taste the irony. The same mouths that used to laugh at your silence are now choking on their own relevance. The same hands that pointed at you are trembling under the weight of exposure. They thought they were untouchable, but reality's patient. It doesn't rush. It waits until the audience is full before dropping the curtain. That's the real joke. They thought you'd be the punchline, but the truth, you became the setup. Everything they did, every insult, every betrayal, it all staged their downfall perfectly. You didn't need revenge, you just needed gravity. And when the ego trip ended, gravity pulled them down so hard, the applause turned into pity. You learned that the loudest confidence often hides the deepest rot. You saw through the sparkle, the self-worship, the fake "I'm healed" speeches posted between breakdowns. You saw their need to look divine while acting demonic. And you didn't fight it, you let it unfold. Because you understood something they couldn't. Power isn't about looking right. It's about being real long enough for the mask to collapse on its own. They played a role. You lived a truth. That's why it ended this way. They tried to make you look broken, but pain is an alchemist. It turned your fractures into metal. They tried to make you small, but silence compressed you into focus. They thought they could humiliate you, but humiliation only works when you still need validation. And you don't. Not anymore. Now when they see you, their instincts glitch, because the version of you they built in their head doesn't exist anymore. You outgrew their narrative. You burned the script they wrote. You became something unreadable, something they can't categorize without confronting their own fragility. That's what true evolution looks like. It's terrifying to those who can't follow. You became the consequence they never calculated, the mirror that doesn't flatter, The ghost that doesn't haunt. It teaches. Every step you take now echoes like an unpaid debt in their psyche. They can't scroll away from it. They can't distract from it. Because deep down, they know. You were never trying to win against them. You were trying to win against yourself. And you did. Now the crowd that once watched you break watches them fall apart for sport. That's poetic justice. You don't gloat. You observe. You don't post. You witness. You don't celebrate their loss. You embody what survival looks like when it's no longer performative. The world doesn't need your side of the story anymore. It already learned it through their downfall. Because that's what happens when ego meets reality. Every mask, every fake flex, every lie collapses under the quiet weight of truth. They built their worth out of comparison. You built yours out of chaos. They needed validation to feel alive. You needed pain to remember you were. Now they can't even look at you without seeing everything they pretended to be. The ego trip ended, darling. And reality didn't just hand them the bill. It made them pay with dignity. Publicly. While the world watched, and you didn't lift a hand. You just smiled. Because you already knew the secret. Reality always collects in public. It doesn't send invoices in private chats or quiet apologies. It drags the truth out beneath fluorescent lights, makes every lie squirm under the eyes of witnesses, and forces the actor to choke on their own script. You didn't have to orchestrate it. You just had to wait. Patience became your most lethal weapon. You let them build their empire of illusion, let them preach righteousness while drowning in self-interest, let them bathe in attention until it turned into acid. They called your silence weakness, but silence is just sound waiting for precision. It's the calm before exposure. And when it hit, it didn't just bruise their ego, it dismantled their identity molecule by molecule. You ever notice how fast people disappear when the truth stops being profitable? How the ones who used your pain as currency suddenly vanish when the market crashes. That's the currency exchange of karma. Their fame was rented, their power was borrowed. But the debt was yours to collect, and you didn't even need to ask. Reality handled the collection. And when it did, oh, the elegance of it. You didn't scream, you didn't post, you didn't gloat. You just existed, quietly, radiantly, like a mirror polished by betrayal, reflecting everything they feared about themselves. Because that's the ultimate punishment for ego. To face the one it underestimated and realize the whole world sees it now. Naked, fraudulent, exposed. See, you never needed to be vindictive. You just had to stop performing. You just had to exist in truth long enough for their theater to collapse. That's the paradox. They built their identity to impress spectators, while you built yours to withstand solitude. So when the crowd left, they disintegrated and you evolved. Now they replay memories of you like evidence in a courtroom they can't win. Every time they recall your name, they hear that sound, the silence that replaced them. You became proof that survival doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "You'll see." And they did. You learned something sacred in that chaos. Ego and truth can't breathe the same air. One has to suffocate. They chose ego. You chose evolution. That's why your downfall turned into a documentary of their exposure. Every scene reversed, every role rewritten. You became the lesson their pride begged not to learn. There's something divine about watching arrogance self-destruct without lifting a hand. You stood there, steady, dangerous calm, as their false confidence melted like wax under scrutiny. People forget that the most powerful revenge isn't public, it's existential. Watching them try to become someone new, while the past clings to them like smoke. Watching their laughter turn into overcompensation, watching their reflection flinch before their own eyes. That's not karma, that's correction. And deep down, you pity them. Because ego doesn't just fall, it shatters. And when it does, it cuts the person carrying it. You've seen the fragments, the forced smiles, the subtle panic, the loss of coherence when they realize the applause stopped. You recognize that look. It's the look of someone realizing they were never the hero, just the commercial break before truth returned to the screen. But you're the one who survived exposure and came back as clarity itself. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You don't need to show them or get even. You already won when you stopped needing to be seen. You already ascended when you stopped mistaking reaction for relevance. You already transcended when you realized the game isn't to destroy others. It's to stop letting their delusion define your worth. So now, when you walk into a room, energy shifts. Not because you demand it, but because truth has a gravity of its own. People sense it. They feel the difference between you and those still addicted to validation. You carry silence like a weapon. You breathe like someone who's already seen the end of every illusion. And somewhere out there, the ones who once laughed at you now scroll in silence, haunted, curious, uneasy. They replay the moments, trying to locate where it all flipped. They can't, because the collapse didn't happen to them. It happened through them. The ego trip ended. Reality made them pay the bill, in full view of everyone they once tried to impress. And you're just sitting there calm as ever, sipping the quiet like wine, knowing that the show's over, the lights are out, and the truth, your truth, was the only thing that stayed standing when the applause died. You see it now, don't you? The way the air shifts when the facade finally collapses. There's a kind of silence that follows public humiliation. Not just silence from others, but silence from within. That's the price ego never calculates. It can't fathom how loud shame sounds when the crowd that once worshipped you looks away in synchronized disgust. You used to watch them walk into every room like gods, fueled by self-importance and insecurity dressed as confidence. Every gesture rehearsed, every laugh an audition. You saw through it, but you said nothing, because you knew. Eventually, reality gets tired of pretending too. And when it does, it doesn't knock softly. It kicks the door off its hinges. When the truth hit, it wasn't cinematic, it was cruel. It came in fragments, whispers, screenshots, glances that lasted too long. They felt the shift before they understood it. The likes slowed down, the messages stopped coming. The rooms they once dominated went eerily quiet. You could almost hear the sound of their image cracking under the weight of their own mythology. And you didn't need to say a word, because you learned that the most terrifying thing about karma is not its timing, it's its symmetry. The pain they tried to outsource came home like a boomerang. Every mockery turned into memory. Every flex became evidence. Every "look at me" transformed into "please forget me." They used to laugh at how unbothered you were. They called it detachment. You called it self-respect. They mistook your calm for emptiness. They didn't realize it was insulation from their chaos, from their need to perform. You weren't competing. You were observing. You watched them chase validation until it bit back. Because attention, darling, is a hungry god. It devours its worshippers first. Now you can feel their energy from a mile away. The ones who once carried that arrogance now brittle, twitching at the edges. They can't meet your eyes because they know, deep down, you saw this coming. You predicted the fall when everyone else applauded the rise. That's what unnerves them. You didn't just survive their betrayal. You outlived their illusion. You were the storm they tried to brand as a mistake, the calm they called emotionless, the patience they mocked because it didn't fit their timeline. And yet, here you are, still here, still solid, still terrifying in your composure. You didn't just rebuild, you rewrote the definition of power. You stopped needing revenge because presence became punishment enough. That's the paradox they'll never grasp. You don't have to destroy anyone, just outlast their delusions. Ego can't handle endurance. It feeds on short wins, on being seen. But you thrive in the unseen. That's why you're dangerous. You became the kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything. And that's the end game. Somewhere, in a room lit by blue screens and regret, they're scrolling through their own past like crime footage. Every post, every brag, every insult aged like spoiled milk. They don't realize yet, they weren't exposed by you. They were exposed by time. Time has a wicked sense of humor. It amplifies truth while fading theatrics. And when reality finally presented the bill, oh, it was itemized. Every manipulation, every lie, every time they tried to stand taller by shrinking someone else, it all appeared on the tab. And the signature line, empty. Because pride never plans for payment. You saw it in their eyes when the crowd turned. The twitch, the swallow, that split second when they realized this is what you felt. The isolation, the whispers, the suffocating clarity. That's when empathy is born, in the ashes of humiliation. But for some, it's too late. Because once the ego dies, all that's left is exposure. And exposure doesn't heal, it haunts. Meanwhile, you move differently now. There's no rage left, no hunger for vindication. You've outgrown even the concept of justice. You let the universe handle its own accounting. You became something quieter, sharper, divine, in restraint. Your revenge isn't in their downfall, it's in your evolution. You outgrew their reach. You ascended past the frequency of their games. Now the same people who once mocked you are dissecting your silence like it's a strategy manual. They whisper about how nothing seems to touch you. But what they don't understand is that nothing needs to. You already made peace with pain. You made it your teacher, your compass, your proof. That's why when you smile now, it unnerves them, because it's not arrogance, it's recognition. You've seen the whole cycle play out. Ego rising, ego rotting, reality cleaning up. You know that every false king eventually kneels, not to you, but to truth. So when people ask why you don't clap back, why you don't correct the lies, why you don't scream your side of the story, you just smirk. Because what's left to prove when reality already spoke? The bill's been paid, publicly, and you? You're walking out of the restaurant untouched while the rest choke on their own receipts. You step outside, the air sharp, almost holy. The laughter from inside still echoes, a strange broken kind of sound, the kind that follows denial's last breath. You don't turn around. You don't need to. That part of the story's over. The world always balances its books. It just waits until the crowd's watching. And when it finally collects, it doesn't just take what's owed. It takes everything they faked. The smiles, the followers, the false confidence. Gone, stripped down to bone and truth. You walk through the aftermath like a ghost that made peace with fire. No gloating, no victory pose. Just that quiet awareness that what was meant for your destruction became your definition. You didn't win because they lost. You won because you learned. That's what they'll never understand. Ego dies loud. Evolution moves in silence. And as the city hums around you, one thought. cuts through the noise like a blade dipped in calm. The ego trip ended when reality made them pay the bill, and you were already free.